Um, Amy got in touch with me, and I've written a few notes down here, and she was suggesting a few ideas for videos. One of them was that to include, stories about going to people's houses, the experiences I had, warm-hearted stories, funny stories. Well, I've already covered a number of those in my books, which are available on Amazon. But she also asked a couple of other questions, or sorry, suggested a couple of other videos. And one of them was the pros and the cons of the work that you do, and what advice do you have for people who've just started in your line of work. And so I thought that's a good question. So what I decided to do was and I'm making notes so I don't wander off at tangents, which I'm always doing. So I thought, okay, I'll give that a go. So what I'm going to do today is talk briefly about the pros and the cons of this work as an intuitive consultant, and what is the impact upon me of tuning into other people's energy fields on a regular basis. But I'm going to start by talking about the kinds of things that people will come to somebody like me about. And so having a little bit of a look in my inbox, if you like, without naming names, of course. And so today in my inbox, bear with me while I get this show on the road. So today I've had a lady asking about a love interest. She wants to know, how that's going to go. Is it going to move forwards? Also, I've had a lady who is in the United States. Most of my business is overseas. Okay, I have some of my business is in the UK, obviously, but it's surprising how much business comes from overseas, and a lot does come from America. So she's asking about a potential house move because she's found that, with the COVID situation and various things, that it's a struggle, paying the mortgage, and that the house prices are shooting up. So, but she's nervous about the whole process. She doesn't want to make a bad decision, but she's got a few other things to take into account. So it's not so simple as, if I put my house on the market, will it sell, and will the house move go great? There are some other sub issues to take into account with that. So then there is another young lady who is asking about her job situation, current work situation. Now, this lady and the previous lady have been back to me before. So they are repeat customers. And this is a young lady who's, she is young, but she's worked incredibly hard to get to where she is, incredibly hard. And she's starting a new job soon, and she wants to get a little bit of insight into what to expect, the dynamic, as she says, how to navigate being the new person. And so she's looking forward to that. And so she says, I would appreciate hearing anything else you see coming my way in the future. So you can see it's a bit of a mixed bag. And I've said this before in videos, that the biggest single reason anybody anywhere on the planet uses an intuitive service is because of their love life. So it's surprising that just, these are just 3 that have popped into my inbox today. I was just trying to give you a bit of an insight into the kind of things that people ask, or want to know about. But largely speaking, it is people's love lives. So if you have 10 requests for a consultation, you can bet your bottom dollar that 8 or 9 of them, when people are specifying what they want to know about, it's going to be their love life. And so that will include people who don't have a love life and they're looking for one. That will include people who have a love interest. That will include people who are thinking about their ex and want to know if they're going to get back with them. and a smaller percentage are people who are already in a relationship but maybe having a few little issues or a few big issues. So yeah, so that is it's interesting, you know, because people are coming with their emotions, and although it's seen as spiritual work, actually, no, I don't see it as spiritual work. Having said that, everything is spiritual. You know, everything is made of energy. I sound like an idiot there, but that's the best way I can describe it. So energetically speaking, life is spiritual, whether we're living in a, you know, under a dark cloud, or whether we're living the high life and everything's hunky-dory. It's still part of our spiritual experience, all of it. So it's nitty-gritty. People don't generally tend to come for consultation on the whole when they are their life's in a really good place, or they know what they're doing, or they're confident in what they're doing, you know, or they believe in what they're doing. So on a scale of 1 to 10, and I have said this before, so I'm repeating myself, I know, but you'll have people at this end who are mildly stuck and lost, disillusioned, uninspired. And at the far end of the scale, if it's a scale of 1 to 10, at the far end of the scale, people are, you know, often very upset or very angry or very stressed, whatever it is. Now, there's a very tiny percentage of people who will just like to check in and have an intuitive consultation every now and then. They may have a few decisions to make and they've kind of made their mind up, but they, you know, they just want to run it, somebody to give them extra insight, or an outsider's insight into it. There are others who will not ask any questions, so they don't ask anything. They will just ask for a general consultation, and they will just leave it completely open. So yes, so that's really covers that. So you get a wide range of questions and situations, but most people are more interested in their love life than anything else. Okay, so now what is the impact of tuning into other people's energy fields on a regular basis? Well, it does take its toll. And I've been doing this for 26 years now, and I have given over 30,000 consultations, and that was easy to do because I was working a lot, you know, face-to-face customers. I was traveling out to work with groups of people. I was working on the telephone. I was working online. And of course, I burned out. And, you know, I had to make changes along the way, but that's another story for another day. I couldn't go on that way. I did it for years, but I didn't even want to continue in that vein in the end. And so, you know, over the years, people have talked to me about bubbles of light. Put a bubble of light around you and you'll be totally fine. Well, it's all very nice and it's all very idealistic, but it doesn't really work. Not in terms of, I mean, if people believe that, they believe that. But to me, my work is more nitty-gritty. And it depends on how deeply you're tuning in. It depends on how deeply you're becoming involved with that human soul. You know, if you're just going to turn a few tarot cards over and just, you know, come up with a few little bits and pieces, then you're not really getting to engage with them. And that's fine. I'm not dissing that service, you know, and that's a service that people will want. All I'm saying is when you're delving into them more deeply, which an intuitive consultant will do, should do, is duty bound to do, then you are basically sort of, you're looking through their eyes, you're looking into their energy field, you're sort of not in body but in mind, you're going into their energy field. And you know, behind closed doors, when I say behind closed doors, I mean the closed doors of us, you know, here's our outer projection, but behind our doors there's all sorts of stuff goes on. And of course, you know, when you're tuning into a person's inner world. That's why you don't need to see them. That's why they don't have to be in the same room. They don't even have to be in the same country. They have to be on the same planet, I think, but don't have to be in the same country, because what you're doing is it's a mind-to-mind communication. And we all have the capacity for this. We do. It's not a gift. Nobody's gifted with a sixth sense. And so, the cynics and the naysayers will sneer at it. But, I believe it's natural to us. I don't believe it's a spooky gift. I believe it's natural to us. But of course, some people have that ability maybe more strongly than others. And others have worked very hard to kind of learn more about that ability and to develop it, to strengthen it. So it can be exhausting. It can be. And usually by the end of a year, when it's my birthday's in December, and usually when it gets to my birthday, I am pretty worn out. And so it's not unusual for things to go awry around my birthday. And I understand it's because I'm generally getting to the point of exhaustion. And so, you have this ideal expectation sometimes of your birthday. And then, so last birthday, a quick story, I ended up having a horrible row with my partner. And it all really just, it was also unnecessary on both sides, but I think I was trying to do what was expected of me, because people want to make a fuss of you on your birthday and they want to do this, they want to do that. And to be honest with you, I just like being left alone on my birthday. I say to the kids, I don't want meals, I don't want to be taken anywhere. I just want to chill out. Maybe watch some Formula One if it's on, eat something nice, drink something nice, eat my favourite chocolates, milk tray. And anyway, so somehow it all fell to pieces and we ended up having a big row. So the birthday ended up not being very pleasant. And isn't that the way in life? We're all human. But I understood it was because I was really tired. Now, I think a lot of people are tired by the end of the year. I know that the end of the year, they've got the end of this year, the beginning of next year. Technically, it's just another day, but somehow it isn't. And so usually by that time, I have reached a point where I am starting to become a bit drained and exhausted. And I made myself a promise after last birthday that this year, I don't care what happens, I am doing nothing. I'm switching off. I'm not going anywhere, doing anything. I don't care what arrangements people might have wanted to make. No, I'm not doing it. And that would be the best birthday present. So I know I've gone off at a wee tangent, but I'm just explaining that, intuitive consultants, psychics, fortune tellers, we are all human beings as well. We are people. We're just doing a job. That's what it is. It's a job. And so when you're involving yourself with other people at a deeper level, some little bit of residue can be left behind. And science has taught us that if two particles come together and pull apart, that each leaves something behind and each takes something away. So I'm quite tough, I'm quite resilient, and I think I find it easier than some people do to shake that off, but you can't shake it all off. And so it'll depend. There are some weeks where everybody you tune into is like, oh, it's like, oh, you can just feel it, like you're singing into a lake of mud. There are other times when it's very, very different. It's just the nature of the beast. And so, yes, so I've learned over the years to set my boundaries in place. And now I don't work 7 days a week. I will not give consultations 7 days a week. I don't have it within me anymore. So I'll generally do about 4, 5 at a push if it's necessary. And I just say on my website that people have to wait a little longer for their consultation. If they want one with me, they may have to wait a few days. They're free to go somewhere else, but I've got to take care of myself. And the other problem is, being in this line of work, I think, is that people who are not customers want to come to you with their stories of woe. And a few weeks ago, I had, over a period of a few days, I heard one horror story after another, after another, after another. And I was starting to feel wretched. And I thought, well, I know people are coming to me and they're spilling their heart out. But in the end, it was almost like being hit by, an oncoming truck. And so then you find you have to step back from it a little bit, and you sympathize with people, and you hear things, you think, oh my goodness, that's awful. But in the end, you almost become immobilized, so you don't know how to respond. So that will happen with an intuitive consultant, where I don't think it's that people are trying to get free readings or consultations. I think they just know you're the person that deals with problems. That's how they see you. And so they automatically want to pour all this stuff out to you. So there is a never-ending tide of needy people out there in the world, and I've been one of them. I've been a needy people in my time, so I do understand. But in lines with giving advice to people who are starting out in this line of work, there is so much to say. There is so much. So I am going to be writing a book on that. Now, I know there are loads of books out there already, but this would just be my own personal perspective. But it's much bigger. A lot of people think it's quite easy. I do remember being at a car boot sale, or a garage sale, you call it in some parts of the world, or a yard sale, a car boot sale. And I was talking to one of the stall holders, and I was quite surprised by this guy. I think I've mentioned him before. He just looked like an ordinary everyday guy that was selling bits and pieces at a car boot. And he had a big box of books on philosophy and religion. And I said, oh, where did you get these from? And he said they were mine. So he'd studied it at university. Anyway, we were talking, and this woman who I don't know wandered over and was looking at the stuff. And the guy explained to her what I do for a living. And she became very shirty. Oh no, she asked me how much I charged. So I told her. And in those days, I wasn't even charging a huge amount. And well, she became very shirty and said, I'm a fool. I'm in the wrong business. I should be doing what you're doing and ripping people off. And I could be making good money. And I felt like flooring her, to be honest with you. In my fantasy, in the fantasy part of our mind, where we do things we would never do in real life. I imagine myself flooring her. You can see my bruises from kickboxing. I wasn't doing kickboxing then, but if I had been doing, my fantasy would have probably included backfisting her onto the floor because it was rude. It was incredibly rude. But that's another thing. People do think they can be rude to you when you're in this line of business. They do, but that's another story again. And so there's a myth out there that it's easy. Well, it depends on how you're working. It might be easy for some, but if you're really engaging with your customer, good, bad, and indifferent, it's not easy. But then lots of jobs aren't easy. Lots of jobs aren't easy. So it's easier than some jobs and it's harder than others. But it's more mentally hard. Obviously, it's not physically hard, it's mentally hard. So the pros and the cons. Okay, well, the pros are that obviously, the way I work is a consultation is a combination of prediction, insight, and food for thought. So you're going to get all three. If you don't like it, you only want prediction, don't come to me. It's on my website. It's in black and white. Some people haven't liked it. Fine. Go and see a fortune teller. That's absolutely fine. I've got no problem with that. But if you're coming to me, I'm going to look at some of the whys and the wherefores. So, for example, if somebody is looking for love and they're struggling, there may be reasons. Maybe we need to look at the reasons. Are they repeating old patterns? Is it something they're doing? Are they going for the same kind of person again and again? Do you see what I'm saying? So you've got to look at that. And so if from that point of view, you can really help people. And I do get some lovely emails. I do get really lovely emails. For people saying that, although that was hard to take, I know that what you're saying makes sense, and I needed to hear it from somebody else, and and you've encouraged me. I feel I can do this now. So there's the good stuff, and that is the biggest. That's the biggest pro, is that you can, and even if people are not willing to listen at that moment, because they've got a recording of it, it doesn't matter. In another 6 months, in another 12 months, they can re-listen to it, and then they'll probably find that they're in a different place and they hear it differently, and therefore it's more useful to them. So that's the big plus side. The cons, well, the cons are that, as I've already said, people do feel that they can be quite disrespectful to you in this line of work for some reason. Not everybody, but there are people out there in the world who will happily call you a con artist, you're preying on the vulnerable, da-di-da-di-da, you know, change the record, that kind of thing. You're dealing with crazy people as well. So, you know, not everybody out there in the world is sane and reasonable. They're not. They are not. I've had hate mail. I have had hate mail. I've had an anonymous hate letter that wasn't signed through the post. That was quite a while ago when people posted letters. I've had stalkers online, people that I've refused to work with again for very good reasons, and then they've kind of refused to go away. They changed their name, they changed their email address, but you know, I know it's them. There may be one or two have slipped through the net who I didn't know it was them, but I've definitely caught some people out. As I say, there are people who will drag you over the coals on psychic forums at the drop of a hat, but they will never tell the truth. They will never ever present a true story. It's always going to be an edited version of the truth, the way they see it. But I'm still here to tell the story. I'm still in business. The cons, any more cons? Not really. No, I don't think so. I think that's it. You know, you've got to take the rough with the smooth in all lines of work. And anybody who works on the internet is going to come across lovely people, and you're going to come across crazy people. There's a Don Henley song. All she wants to do is dance. And in it, there's a line that said, "Crazy people walking around with blood in their eyes." And I imagine that there's a very tiny number of the customers that I have worked with over the years that might be a very good description of them. But then you move on. So the longer you do this work, the more experienced you become. You do set your own boundaries in place, and you do decide what you will do and what you won't do, and who you will work with and who you won't work with. And you know, you earn that right. Absolutely. So there you go. There's been a sneak peek into my today's inbox. We've talked about the pros and the cons of working in the intuitive industry. And we've talked about the impact that it can have on you when you're regularly tuning into other people's energy fields. I think that about covers it. Okay, see you in another video.